this segment, we're going to talk about how to train the look command. Probably the best way to get a feel for the value of training your dog to look at you when you want him to is to show you how we use the look with our dogs. There's so many applications for asking your dog to look at you and redirecting your dog away from something that I decided to make the look the first segment in this intermediate course. We combine the look with other behaviors, for example, the hand touch, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment. But as I said earlier, we have so many applications for using the look. For example, like you see here, we make the dog look at us before it jumps into the crate. We make our dogs look at us before we feed them. They just don't charge up and jump into their food until we give them the okay after they look at us. When we take our dogs outside or take them into another room or go to the vet, we make the dog sit and look at us before we open the door. And we practice this in our training. We're going to cover that. Now, let's talk about how we train the look. We assume in this course that you understand marker training, that you've gone through Charge the Mark and have learned the sit, the down, walk on a loose leash, and the foundation of a recall using our reward-based training in the basic dog obedience video. We can't repeat that training here. In the beginning of training the look, it's very similar to Charge the Mark. We have our dog on a leash in a distraction-free environment. That part's really important. The moment the dog looks at our face, we mark and reward. In the beginning, we do not add the command look. If need be, we will use a slight noise like tss to get the dog to look at us. When it does, we mark and reward. If we do this before we feed our dog, and if we're using high-value food rewards, it only takes 6 or 7 times and the dog starts to figure out what we're doing. They'll stand there and they'll look at us. Now, at that point, we move around until the dog gets a little distracted by something else and he looks away. Then we make our little noise again and we reward with a mark. We can turn this into a game by acting happy when the dog looks at us. As training progresses, we can start to jackpot rewards, which reminds me that this is a good time to talk about what professional dog trainers refer to as rate of reinforcement. This simply means we're not afraid to give multiple rewards when the dog performs the behavior we want. As a general rule, new trainers do not reward enough. The way to look at it is this. You will never hurt your dog. You will never hurt your training if you reward too many times. But if you don't reward enough, you risk losing engagement with your dog and the training just gets harder. So, if you're a new dog trainer, this is a very important concept to wrap your mind around. Keep it in your mind. Think about it all the time. Now, in the look training, when the dog starts to show some fluency, we can add the command. We simply say look and reward the dog if it looks. But if it doesn't look, because it doesn't know what the word look means, if we say look and he doesn't look, we make our little noise like tss, and then when he looks, we reward the dog. It doesn't take too long to fade that little noise. You can see here what Sharon's doing with Bexley, the rescue dog from our local shelter. Bexley really looks at her, and to break her out of the look, she'll just toss a little piece of food aside. And when Bexley goes to get it, she'll say, look. Sharon actually uses a lure with her hand coming up by her mouth. That works okay sometimes, but it may be better to use a little noise.